be introducing this cast of characters here in just a moment. No countdown timer today. No clock. No big fanfare.
Somebody's a prima donna.
We'll do it live.
We should have a big fanfare because we have a very special guest on with us today who deserves a fanfare, but we're not going to. We're not going to do it. Yes, Justin, we're going to.
Nice of you.
Yeah, we're going to treat it like you're just another member of the gang that is on here every day, every week.
Yeah,
yes,
perfect. I love it.
I thought you know, it's just me that I was special, Joe.
It's just like that. Well, you, Paula, does he need somebody to tell me special? Oh, you are on mute.
Somehow we have no microphone for Paula.
It helps to turn the microphone on.
Oh, that's crazy.
Look at that.
We didn't give her backstage prep. That was the problem.
We did not.
True professionalism here. What these new mics, you have to the on and off is a little bit confusing.
Yeah, I know that toggle thing confuses me every time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So horrible.
This is new technology.
One side means on and one side means off. Nothing else works like this in all of our life.
If I can't hear myself right now, what do I do? There must be another setting. All right. We're going to get this going because we've got 58 minutes and counting. So, Doug, let's kick this thing off.
Counting it down. 3, 2, 1, Steve. Live from the basement of the YouTube headquarters, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and have you eaten at an airport recently? I did. It was really fun, especially the part where I refinanced my house to afford a second beer. Today, we're talking places where we know we're overpaying. How do we make a better plan and save some Benjamins? But while I know you're thinking, that's amazing, Doug, thanks for coming up with such a great topic for today's roundtable, what you should be thinking is that I haven't even talked about the best part of all, my incredible trivia question. And now, here comes a guy who'd gladly sell you his secrets to wealth right after he finds them. It's Joe Saul Sehi.
That was going so well until the very end, Doug. So well. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday to you. Welcome back to the Stacking Benjamin Show. I am Joe Saul Sehi, and we have, like every Friday, we're going to have a ton of fun during the next hour, but it's because we have these amazing people with us. First of all, the guy behind the microphone across the card table from me, Mr. OG's here. You have a place you need to be, so we are going to skedaddle on today's episode.
It's always about me. I know. I apologize in advance.
We just need to remind people, though, it isn't about quantity. It's about quality. You're about to get 56 minutes of pure grade A quality podcast. Maybe grade B plus magic. I don't know. But the woman who always brings grade A stuff to this podcast, Paula Pant from Afford Anything's here. How are you, Paula?
Oh, I'm fantastic. It's weather's getting warmer. It's a good day. Let's make a show.
In New York City in March, weather's warmer. That means it's what, 14 degrees today?
Yeah, exactly. Up from 13.
Yes. Now you look all dressed up. Did you dress up for us today?
I did, but not. We sure it was for you. Yeah. We'll go with that.
Perfect. That's exactly what I thought. Well, sure. Yes.
As Joe and I are wearing hoodies.
And the guy who, when I wrote him, I'm like, how come I've known this guy forever and we haven't had him on I don't know what the hell we were thinking. Finally, the guy behind The Struggle Is Real, Mr. Justin Peters is here. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, Joe. And honestly, I've been waiting those 4 or 5 years for this email. I was sitting there on the keyboard. Finally, it came.
He's like, I can finally get up. And walk and do something else. I was listening, Justin, to a recent episode you had about medical bills and how easy it is to negotiate your medical bills. And man, you cover some of these cool areas. Tell everybody what you do at The Struggle's Real.
Yeah, I like to cover personal finance topics for people that are on the path to financial independence, but put a little bit of post-fi wisdom in there too. That episode in particular is something I was really passionate about. I got pretty fiery about. I just think there's a lot of things that are broken with medical bills here in the United States, and found a good expert for it.
So you found that out firsthand, though. You were in Japan?
I was in Japan. Yes, I had an ear infection. I was like, oh no, this is going to be a nightmare. I tried to fix it myself. That didn't work out. Then I finally
Just
looked up a
stick
little.
your finger all the way in there.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I went in to this place to buy something that they could potentially work. He didn't know what I was talking about. He pointed to a lot of random things. I was like, all right, I got to find an ENT. I was like, this got to cost me an arm and a leg. And I walked out and it cost me $40. Uninsured in Japan. Craziness. I think even
That's
insured
about
here
what
in-
it is in America, right?
even
Healthcare
insured, I think that
visits.
would have cost me 10 times the amount. So
I was gonna say, give or take a zero, right?
Yes, yes.
Well, it was
Put that decimal point.
it was a great episode. And what I really loved is that your expert, I don't remember her name, I apologize, but she but she was saying you don't have to be a great negotiator, which was great. Just ask for these facts. Just ask them. I need these codes. I need to know exactly what's going on. It was pretty powerful stuff. We'll link to it in the show notes, as we do with all of our contributors every week. But today, Justin, we've got you here to talk about airport food, which is pretty exciting. Where are we getting ripped off? Seriously, where are we getting ripped off? And we know we are, and we keep doing it anyway. How can we maybe put the lid on some of the overspending that happens? What plans can we have to make that better? But before all that, we have a couple sponsors that make sure this is free for you and we can keep on keeping on without you paying a dime. So we're going to hear from them. And then Justin, Paula, OG, Doug, and I talking about curtailing some of the outrageous spending that you do on the fly. All right, 3, 2, 1. Our piece today comes to us.
There. Hold on. Nobody else got that? The spending you do on the fly.
Ninja.
Okay. Now let's talk about airplane food. Weird.
So ninja, I didn't even get it. That's how ninja I am. It just comes naturally, OG. Yeah. The piece that inspired this actually was in the Wall Street Journal, and it was written by John Sindro. And John wrote, are you splurging on food and drink before departure? Your airport really hopes so. And the crux of this is that hungry travelers may determine the future of airport finance. 2024, more flyers than ever passed through London's Heathrow Airport, spending more money at its stores. The company running it said last week, yet total revenue declined because Britain's aviation regulator lowered the maximum fees the airport can charge to airlines. So airlines hoping that you have some of that just second-class food that you can get at any airport. I will say this, Paula, I think the airport food's gotten better over time, but man, it still is a slog.
So typically, there's no way to say this without you guys making fun of me. Typically, when I go,
I love how you're anticipating it already.
I'm anticipating the reaction this is going to get. I'm usually in airport lounges, which means I don't
for
pay
God's sake.
Okay, OG.
I'm not with the commoners.
Exactly.
We're the restaurant.
Exactly.
Filthy unwashed.
So exactly. I'm not out with the huddled masses in the airport, where people are paying for food.
Okay, so Justin.
I'm going to break it to you.
All right,
Joe,
nice
I'm
seeing you,
a
Paula.
peasant. I am
next
a
week.
peasant.
Yes, because I know OG well enough to know that he doesn't sit with the commoners either. Tell me, Justin, that you travel and you've paid $87 for a beer at an airport recently.
Unfortunately not. I'm the guy that packs a lunchbox into the airport, and the security's like, what is going on here? So yeah, no, I'm with the peasants.
It's like your Flintstone lunchbox.
Yep, exactly.
That's good. No, that's great, because seriously, I remember this is horrible. This is a few years ago. I wanted to celebrate my birthday with my brother. We were on our way to go on a trip together that day. There was nothing we could do because we had to catch a plane. So we decided that we would get drunk at the airport before the plane took off. Talk about something dumb. Not only were we paying $89 per beer, but we also found that very nice bartender that likes you at an airport when you first sit down makes all their money from turning those over quickly, because everybody's got to catch their plane. And we sat there for an hour and a half. And the last 45 minutes of it, Justin, she was downright mean. Like she was so mean to us just to get us to leave. But it was my birthday. So that wasn't going to happen. But you've already solved that problem. Where's an area, Justin, in your life where maybe you overspend?
Ooh, concert tickets. I splurge on concert tickets all the time. Anytime I see a good show coming into Austin, I'm going ahead and buying it.
We almost did some trivia on the junk fees that are on concert tickets. I think we decided not to do that one, but what was the amount of money that are just junk fees, a percentage? Do you remember?
Well, I think it was 27% of your total spend for a given ticket is actually for extra fees, and that convenience fee and service charges had nothing to do with going to the artist or the venue.
But the frustrating thing about that, Justin, is, I mean, that's an experience. And what are you going to do? Just show up at the hotel where the star's staying and hope that you catch them on the way to their hotel room so you get an autograph?
Yeah, there's not a lot of great alternatives that I found if I want to catch an act. Those junk fees are crappy. The resale market is even worse. I don't know. I'm looking for some advice if anyone's got it.
Yeah, Paula, you go see many concerts?
I'm not a big concert person, although
why did I come to you? I've known you forever, and why did I even go to you?
Remember, Paula's in the corner at the airport lounge by herself in the ultra elite section where there is no one else.
Exactly, and she definitely doesn't.
AirPods.
She definitely doesn't have a movie on either.
Oh, I did actually get a pass in an effort to see more movies. I got a pass to the local movie theater, $99, unlimited movies for a year.
Whoa.
Oh, they're going to clean up on you, Paula.
Yeah.
I was like, so the average movie cost for Paula is $99. So I saw this $99 movie this year. It wasn't very good. I don't think I'll go back.
And after the $36 for popcorn. Yeah. Well, OG, you go to concerts.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. We're more of like a Broadway type of family.
Mhm.
Like we've seen a couple of concerts, and we'll go and do that if a band or a group that we really particularly like. Did not succumb to Taylor Swift World. Probably should have with my daughter, but I just couldn't swallow that. That was that was insane. But we'll do a lot of, Lion King or Les Mis or whatever, Phantom of the Opera when it comes back. Because I think like you were saying, and like Justin was saying, it's more of an experience. And for us, it's more of a family thing. Kids like it. They can get behind the music and the story and that sort of thing. And it's not, I don't feel like it's as egregious of a cost as what you're talking about the airport thing of the travel of that. It's like, it seems like when you go to the airport, you're already getting hammered on whatever the airline ticket is, which is not inexpensive. And then God forbid you have a family or you're traveling with a partner or something, and that's going to be 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, whatever that number is that you see. But then all the stuff that you do once you're there at the airport, right? Okay, well, you want to speed through the line? Oh, you need TSA pre-check. No problem. We'll just get that. $100 times 5.
Yeah.
Right, for a period of time. Oh, you guys are going to travel internationally? No problem. You just have to get a passport. That's $200. Or, you have little kids. Now you and your spouse have to go to the passport office and take half a day off of work and schedule it. It's like all that stuff piles up around it to be able to do the one thing that you want to do, which is just get on an airplane and go. And so I feel like by the time you even get there, notwithstanding baggage fees and all that other sort of stuff, you're just mentally spent, and you just have, maybe that's the plan. They're trying to get you to cave. Like by the time you get to the airport, you're just like, whatever, I'll just take a beer. They're like, sir,
just take my wallet.
Please tell me you have an American Express Platinum card for this beer. You're like, well, They're like, good, because you're going to need it all. Whatever the limit is, we found it.
We'll make sure you go just over it, so there's some over limit fee attached to that.
Exactly. Sponsored by American Express.
You know what's funny? I don't know if this is right or wrong, but this is just what Cheryl and I have done. When we go to one of the bigger productions where it's not like a general admission thing, if I really am a huge fan, I will splurge for the upfront stuff. But otherwise, I'm fine in the cheap seats just because I just like being in the building. I just like being in the place and the people around me and having fun, in the crowd of people. Like I'll do that. And I don't know, Justin, if you're going to the big concerts where that can happen, or if it's general admission, you just, you're just paying the fee to get in.
Yeah, I like general admission. The other thing that I will do to save a little bit of money sometimes is if it's a mid-tier band, I'm kind of excited about them, but if I miss it, it's no big deal. I'll wait around until the headliner comes
Until
on.
they're old.
I'll check Marketplace or Resale Market right whenever the concert starts. Go ahead, grab a cheap ticket now that the ticket prices are dropping, and then go head that direction.
Oh, like the scalper who's bailing because they know they got to get
Exactly.
$1 or $2. Yeah. You know what's interesting? I think there's another side to this when it comes to concerts too, which is, if I know I can't save money, and we do this every year with our theme park episode with Robert Niles from Theme Park Insider. If we know it's going to be really hard to save money, how do we just make it so that night doesn't suck? You know what I mean? If I'm going to pay a ton of money, let's make sure that it's actually a memorable night instead of some of the concerts I've seen where, you get done, you're like, really? I paid for that? Like, that was absolutely horrible. So I don't know.
So
Doug,
you're like add stuff around it to make sure the whole night is memorable to insulate from that. Is that what you're saying? Insulate from the fact that maybe the band will suck. It's like, but at least I had a nice dinner.
Yeah, do whatever I can to make it just a nice night. It doesn't have to be an expensive night, but make it memorable in other ways with entertainment before, after, or, a concert I went to recently, we were able to stand in line and meet the artist afterwards. I wasn't going to buy anything, but I got to meet Josh Rouse and have my picture taken with him, which is cool. When you got a 56-year-old guy who wants to have his picture taken with you, I'm sure he was thrilled.
Especially since you didn't buy anything.
I know, this is the fan I'm looking for. Yes. And I don't need your album. I don't have a record player. Paula, what did you think of when you thought of this as something where people spend a bunch of money, or maybe you spend a bunch of money that you're just getting hosed?
So on the topic of the airport, the taxi to and from the airport, like getting from my home to the airport itself, I every single time I tell myself, this is the time I'm going to take public transportation. And every single time I don't. I usually will do it on the way back because coming back home, I'm not in a time crunch. But going there, every single time, I'm like, this is the time that I'm going to allow for ample time. So there's a margin of error. So I can take public transit. And even if it's slow, or even if I have to wait for a connection, nope. Every single time I'm rushing out the door, and then I have to take a taxi.
Back when we were together in New York in mid-December, I told you and Nick Majuli, who also lives in New York, that I spent $90 on a taxi from the airport.
Yeah, that is so normal. So normal.
You guys weren't even phased. I was like, that is highway robbery. You're like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is.
That's standard par for the course. Like, estimate about $100 every time, getting to the airport. And then if you decide to take a taxi coming back, estimate that it's going to be a $200 round trip.
That is a key, though. I remember a couple of FinCons, this industry conference that we all often attend. And I remember this last one in Atlanta, and just taking the time to learn how the what's that system called, Paula?
The MARTA.
Yeah, learning how the MARTA worked. The MARTA went 2 blocks away from our hotel.
Yeah.
And what was funny was I saw so many attendees just immediately grab an Uber, and even sharing an Uber where they're spending a bunch of money versus, I think the MARTA was $6.
Yeah. The MARTA's good, but don't take it at night. Yeah.
I've heard similar things about Chicago. I think I read an article on the Points Guy once where 3 people from the Points Guy were all leaving a work thing downtown. They might have been in the Sears building. Yes, I'm still calling it the Sears building. And
that's your protest. That's your boycott.
Yeah. I mean, it just pisses me off. Anyway, and they decided to compare. Somebody took the L, somebody took an Uber, and I think somebody drove themselves. And unquestionably, the L was faster, and I think it was $4. And I know people who live there, and they still don't do that. Now, Same thing though, Paul, I've heard you don't want to do that line later at night because it's one of the few lines that runs late at night. And so a lot of sort of unsavories might ride that train because they can hang out there and stay warm. And, I don't want to get us into a different topic, but so that's, you want to be cautious about that at night, but there's still a lot of other hours of the day where that makes the most sense and people don't do it.
After Paul and I and the people at our meetup group, G was there. After we said goodbye, but Paul, I said you and I, because we walked to the station together, and then you went one way and I went the other way. And what was, and it was that night, to your point, that I got the New York experience. There was a gentleman sleeping on the train, and then he got up. I thought he was getting up to get off the train. He wasn't. He was getting up because he had to urinate, and he did it right in front of the door, which is funny and sad altogether, right? I mean, on one hand, I got to check the bingo box, and another, I mean, that truly is.
Yeah, no, I'm laughing only because it's so familiar.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a laugh of recognition.
It was called the New York experience ahead of time by me, or not by me, by me. I called it that.
Joe was like, hold on a second. I didn't know we could do this. I don't have to hold it. Excuse me, sir. My turn.
Maybe not. OG, how about for you?
Are you asking what I spend money on that's frivolous that I shouldn't?
Everything.
See, all of the above.
Yes.
What don't I? I really strongly believe in the work hard, play hard methodology. And so I play hard, and then I have to work hard to pay for it all.
Yeah, but there's got to be some things, like, as an example, in the example I gave all of you when I was introducing this topic, I said, I will, this one drives me crazy. I know that the gas station right across from the car rental agency has the most jacked up prices on earth. And yet, maybe a month ago, I'm flying, I'm in Seattle, and I'm flying back to the place. And all of a sudden I looked at it and I go, why didn't I fill it up? Oh my goodness. And I paid maybe.
Oh, I do way better than that, Joe. I don't even bother. I just return it as is.
But do you prepay for the gas then? Do you do the prepay option, or do you just?
On occasion, I've done that on occasion if I think about it, or if I think, okay, I'm probably going to drive a lot on this trip. But a lot of times I just turn it back in. I don't even care. And it just, Paula's aghast.
She's got people screaming at you at their device.
Did you see that? There was a comedian that did a bit one time where he said, he was running late for a flight, and he just stopped the car in front of the terminal and called up Enterprise and was like, hey, I left your car there. And they're like, you can't do that. And he's like, well, I did. So anyways, bye. And he said, in that moment, I realized that was totally normal. And that they were on the hook for that car. So I'm going to do that from now on. Obviously, it's a comedy bit, but
sure.
I'm getting the look from Paula like, wait, you can just return cars with empty gas? And
yeah.
That's okay. I mean, it's okay. I don't know what the cost is. They jack up the price. I think that I was thinking about this the other day in a different context. I was talking to a friend who was having a project done on his house. And I think that I spend money very, very, very liberally on things that will free up time based on what I value my time around that thing would be. So like, I'm not going to stop and get gas unless it's convenient for me. Like if I was going to stop anyway and get a pack of gum, yeah, I'll put gas in the car and go, oh, that was easy. Like save some money. But if I'm just driving around Chicago and now I'm going back to the airport, I'm not going to purposefully stop and get gas just to save $1 a gallon. And they charge, it's like $20, right? Like, I don't really care about that.
You don't
like,
know.
I would. Oh, yeah, no. And
it could be $20 million, Justin. He would not know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 20 million, I probably noticed. The, Doug and I were talking about this. I think it was you and I, Doug, were talking about this with the kids and their Xboxes. Like, if I can avoid like having to deal with something by putting money at it, like I will do that. Because so my kids, when they were younger, we had an Xbox, right? And what do boys do? They fight about the Xbox, right? Like, It's my turn. Hold on. I have one more level. And it's just,
So OG taught them a lesson here. He's about to teach them a lesson.
Yes.
I taught them a lesson. All right. I said, you with me. Oh, why? How come he gets to play? I go, trust me, this will be worth it. And we went to Nebraska Furniture Mart and bought another 60-inch TV and another Xbox and put them right next to one another so that I don't have to deal with that problem anymore. Like, I know you think it's like this is ridiculous, but it was
this isn't parenting 101, people.
No, listen, hear me out. This was less than $1,000 10 or 12 years ago. That has solved 12 years of it's my turn. It solved a dozen years of going, how come he did? No, you got yours. You guys want to play against one another? Awesome. You can do that. Xbox has a way to like share games, right? So we're not buying double games or anything like that. So I would spend money on that sort of stuff. And when it comes to travel, yes, I pay for Clear. I mean, it gets reimbursed with a credit card somewhere, but I pay for Clear and I pay for PreCheck and I pay for global entry and all of those things that are going to like speed up the experience of getting me to I'm not traveling because I like to travel. I'm traveling because I've got somewhere to go and I want to be there at some reasonable time, at some reasonable amount of energy when I get there. And so if I can come back from our trip and go through global entry because that line is short, I'll do that.
I want to dive into some of those topics because, what started off as incredulously non-frugal, I think there might have been a couple points there that I'd like for us.
Nugget?
There might have been a nugget, and we're going to grab onto that in the second half of today's discussion. But at the halfway point of this shindig, Justin, every week we have this year-long trivia competition between our three frequent contributors, OG, Paula, and Jesse Kramer. You're sitting in for Jesse today. That brings up some good news and some bad news, Justin. You want the good news or the bad news?
Let's go bad news.
Well, the bad news is Justin hasn't, Jesse has not figured out a way to score a point yet this year.
Despite all of his cheating,
which happened, he was 2-0 immediately when he entered the show last year, and now he's on this drought. So Justin, no pressure, but maybe you can save our mutual friend Jesse Kramer's fortunes by getting him on the board. The good news is you're only 1 point behind Paula Pant, who finds herself precariously in second place with 1. And man, what I wish for both you and Paula is that you beat our reigning champion, Mr. OG, who has 4 already, 4 points. So that's
the trophy. That's
the stakes. The other good news, Justin, you get to go last. So you get to see what these two people do ahead of you. OG will guess first. Paula guesses second. And Doug each week gives us the trivia. What's our question today, man?
Yeah, Joe, I mean, I can't believe we've gotten this far into today's show and we haven't talked about the fact that today is Pie Day.
It is Pie Day, isn't it? Well, I was just looking at what you said in the chat. Are you seriously thinking about getting a pie tattoo on your, like every digit? I mean, don't get me wrong. You certainly have room. I'm not talking about that thing either. I'm not talking about the other thing.
Following. I'm not sure I'm following, Joe, but actually, I don't know what you mean by digits. I was thinking about getting peach.
Oh, you want a peach pie tattooed on your butt?
Like the emoji the kids use? Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what Pie Day means? Do you have any idea what Pie Day actually means?
Well, duh. I mean, it's the middle of March. It's a crappy month. It's like raining everywhere. We all need something to cheer them up, cheer us up.
Well, Paula's talking about the weather getting better, but look at the date, 3/14.
Yeah. So
look, think.
Oh, snap. It's right there in front of me. How could I miss that? Geez, that's embarrassing. Well, in that case, I've got the perfect question for Pie Day for our roundtable. Here's the question. At their peak, how many pies did McDonald's sell in 1 year back in the late 80s? I'll be back right after I go figure out a way to bring the pies back. Maybe Joe's mom can help me out.
think he still doesn't get it, but we'll take it from there. Oh, gee, how many pies in one of the banner years in the late 1980s did McDonald's sell?
This is cumulative nationally, globally.
Globally in 1 year.
Global pies, and inclusive of both flavors. I believe there were 2, cherry and apple.
I think there was cherry.
Total.
and apple.
There was total pies sold.
Total pies sold globally in 1989, you said.
Well, in their peak year during the 80s.
The peak year was in the 80s.
You're stalling. Just give us a number.
You're the one that has to leave.
I need some clarity. Just a second. I believe that at the time it said hundreds of millions sold on the thing, on the McDonald's banner. The average person gets what? Maybe 2 pies a visit. No, that's not what you guys did. Okay,
You stop
right,
at
4,
2.
whatever. Exactly.
They were bite sized.
I'm going to say that the number of pies sold in the peak of McDonald's was 61 million pies. 61 million.
61 million. Paula, what are you going to do with that?
So I was also thinking about, because the late 80s was when McDonald's on the sign every year it would say like X items sold or whatever, X
Customer served.
people
Customer
served.
served.
Yeah,
Yes.
customer served. And I remember every year that number would climb and climb and climb and climb, and then eventually they just gave up and they were like billions and billions. But there was a time when they would routinely update that number. So I was trying to remember what that was, and geez, I was thinking lower. Well, because you also have to anticipate that not everybody who goes to McDonald's is going to get a pie. Like some people go there for the hot fudge sundae, right?
That makes sense.
Some go for the French fries.
Look at Joe. Joe's like, how do
Just-
I reel this back in?
Please, God, shoot me now. Just. Some people go there for the quarter pounder. Some people go there for a fillet of fish.
Paul was just listing the whole menu.
Some just want the chicken nuggets and then it's some time at the McDonald's playground.
Whether it be a 20-piece, a 4-piece.
Right? Some just want the toy that's in the kids' meal box. I'm going to say 22 million.
22 million pies. All right, Justin, you've got, what was OG? 60 million?
61.
I said
He was
61.
We got 61 and 22, Justin. What are you thinking?
Well, part of me feels like I have a disadvantage here because I'm a kid of the 90s and I didn't see this sign, this amount served that you guys were talking about. But
Do you think it matters? You've been on the show now for 25 minutes.
But the other part of me is I feel like I have insider knowledge because I worked at McDonald's for 3 years while I was a teenager. So
I did too.
I do see how many pies go out the door, and I'm trying to do some mental math right now, and I'm gonna get Jesse on the board for sure. And I'm feeling pretty good at 40 million.
40 million pies. All right, we got 61, we got 40, we got 22. Who's right? Is Jesse finally on the board? Is Paula going to start sneaking up on OG, or is the Dark Lord going to pull ahead? We'll find out in a moment. All right, 3, 2, 1. OG, you started off with 61 million. Both Justin and Paula thought you were way too high with that number. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about this. So I'm really mad because behind the scenes, what you guys don't know is that some of this show is, thought of. And I, as soon as you guys started talking about Pi Day, I was thinking, I know what the trivia question is going to be because we talked about this. It was going to be a random number of pi, like out into the future. So I memorized pi to like 1,000 digits. And I'm super mad that you guys didn't use that because I had I had that in the bag. I was going to nail it right on the button.
We did think about that to throw them off, Doug.
We were going to ask for everybody listening when we were brainstorming today's question. We thought, what if we just said, tell us what the 132nd and 133rd digits are of pi?
Which I knew.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Totally new. Totally had
16.
that. So you don't know one way or another. Paula, how are you feeling? You've got the low number.
Yeah. I've captured all of the downsides. So if the answer is anywhere between 0 to what, like 30 something million,
Yep.
I've got it. So I like that I've got a good range.
And Justin, at 40, you got the field goal. You're right in the middle there. Feeling good?
I feel 100% confident on this one. I feel really, really good.
I like that. That's great. Well, let's see if the confidence is well-deserved or not. Doug, what's our answer?
I don't want to read. I'm just so, the enthusiasm has been sucked out of me. Hey there, stackers. I'm Pie Lover and the guy who knows a good 3.14 when I see it. Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Pie Day. I love them all. You got your apple. You got your Dutch apple.
Where are you, Paula?
You got your apple crumble. You got your sour cream apple. You got your apple tart. You even got your rhubarb apple. All right, that one kind of sucks. Hey, you've even got Doug's Crawdad Pie. That's a good one. It's it's real. Look it up. Look it up. Also true, I can eat about 3.14 pies in a single sitting. But today's question was about McDonald's pies. How many per year was the fast food chain selling during their peak years in the late 80s? Well, I don't just come right out and tell you, because OG hates it when I do that. He likes it when I stretch it out and when I do the math. What I will say is that it was, it was in the millions, so you guys had that part right. It was 210 million more than what Justin/Jesse guessed, 228 million more than what Paula guessed.
Unbelievable.
Just 189 more than what the Grim Reaper of Sadness guessed. He guessed 61 million. The correct answer is 250 million, making Jerkface OG our winner.
250 million. That's a lot of
insane.
In a year.
What I want to shine a light on is something Paula and I were talking about on the Afford Anything show recently, which is her uncanny fucking ability to every time go the wrong way.
And I'm listening to Justin, who's all confident. He's like, I worked there. I saw him when he went out the door. I think I got this one in the bag. All he had to say was 62 million. You had to go one higher.
I probably should have took the high on that one. That's my bad, Jesse.
And to be all like puffing your chest out like, oh, I got this in the bag. You don't go to the middle, Justin. You don't hedge yourself in. You either go way low or way high. Oh my God.
Doug, I'm just setting up a comeback story for Jesse here. I don't want to put any points that he didn't earn on the board here.
Yeah, when they make the Hallmark movie about this at the end of the year, the incredible comeback of Justin and Jesse. Let's jump into the second half of this discussion about things we overpay for. And I want to highlight before we move on a couple things that OG said, because Paula, I kind of like the thing about valuing your time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's different types of wealth as you've had a recent guest on talk about, but this gift of time we have is something we can't get back.
Exactly. Yeah. And I 100% agree with that and stand by it. I do think not filling your gas tank is a little extreme. That's just because the surcharge on that is so massive.
It
So
is
what,
big.
though? I mean, it's like an extra what, $20?
I mean, I guess it depends on how much you drive and how many gallons that is. But all right, let's say you're paying I don't know, a $6 surcharge per gallon times.
Oh, it's not that much. No.
Really?
No.
All right. This could be the
I'll
next
double
trivia
check.
question.
You could be right, and I would be way wrong. I think I would notice if it was like, hey, your rental was forecast to be $61 this week. Turns out it's $605. I think I probably noticed that being off. But I think it's like, because it tells you when you leave. It says like,
it says it right out, right behind there.
If you don't do it, it's $4.15, and I'm like,
yeah,
well,
it's maybe $1.50 or $2 a gallon.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe it was more before, Paula.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
see,
All
whole
right.
new
That's
world.
not as bad as I thought then.
I don't know. I just don't like parting with that money. I don't know. Where are you at on that one, Justin?
I'm with you on this one, Joe. Honestly, I don't like to spend money frivolously. I'd rather spend it on the things that really bring me joy. So I don't know. That would pain me to know that I just spent an extra 20 or 30 bucks on the gas when I could have just probably taken 2 or 3 minutes of planning and
I got
stopping
3
on the way
more
there.
minutes with my friends.
Yeah.
That is valuing your time pretty high, though, Justin. I mean, it is a value of your time. I remember when I was with American Express, I got to this point in my career where I thought of this amazing thing. I was like, I want somebody to buy me groceries. I don't care what it cost. I mean, within reason, I don't care what it cost, but the amount of time I spend in a grocery store versus the amount of money I could make if I had that time, like my multiple on that time was huge, was absolutely huge. And then I decided I wanted to.
Tell me that you started the idea of Instacart.
It was,
you saw that all the way to fruition, right? Like
no, but well, clearly I didn't because I'm here with you.
Oh.
But but what is funny is, OG, was that the people I called Meijer, our local like regional chain in the Midwest, I called the people at Meijer and I explained what I wanted to do, and they kept bringing me further up the food chain, and the like regional manager was like, yeah, I don't know anybody that would pay for that. Like we don't have anybody do that. We don't have any way to get that done.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would totally pay to have somebody do my grocery shopping for me. He's like, I'm sorry, we just don't have a way to do it. So yeah, thought of it and let it go. Yeah.
Wow.
And now I'm suing Instacart for the rights to that idea. Talked about it on the podcast.
Did you hear the expenses that will fly, spending that on the fly, and now pass you up the food chain, right?
See, I didn't even. Yeah,
right?
There are some
things
brilliant that I regret. Like DoorDash really kind of slapped me around sideways the other day. I wasn't paying attention. The missus was out and cooked this fantastic dinner, but it wasn't for us. It was like out of a movie. Like all the like everyone was upstairs. You've seen like the cartoons where like the dog smells the food and he's like floating, to the smell of whatever it is. Like all of a sudden you could smell this garlic chicken thing come, and like all the kids were upstairs. I was upstairs watching a game and we're like, wow, that smells pretty good. And we all kind of float downstairs like, wow, that smells really good. Mom, what's for dinner? She goes, oh, this isn't for you. This is for my mom's group. We're like, seriously, it smells really good. What's for dinner? She goes, no, seriously, this isn't for you. I'm taking it to my mom's group. You guys are on your own. We're like, wait, what? And so we ordered DoorDash Wendy's, which is a terrible idea on every front because Wendy's is bad. Wendy's cold is worse. And apparently they don't charge you market prices on DoorDash for fast food. It's a multiple. And it literally, I'm not going to say how much it was because that'll really set Paula off. But it was like putting $6 of gas in my car, 15 gallons of it. It was a lot.
Well, I'm glad this entire show that was supposed to be helping people avoid charges has become OG's like confessional.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I wish I would have paid attention to that because that I would have said, I can drive to Wendy's for the kids. You know what I mean? Like, I just did it on my app, did it on the phone, like whatever. And
I'm actually with you though. I use Uber Eats to order Taco Bell delivery.
Oh God,
I've done that twice. Yeah.
See, I just can't do it. I can't do the DoorDash. I enjoy leaving my house. I enjoy just going out and getting it myself. I don't want to pay some moron. I'm sorry if you do Uber Eats.
You idiot.
I just don't want to be somebody's side hustle when I can go get it myself.
On Marigold Court if you want to spit in his food next time.
Joe, I'm going to jump in here and say this just happened to me the other day, and it's something that I realized for years I've been being overcharged out of convenience. I kind of knew it, but I actually left the house thinking I'm not going to go get food. I'm going to go get ingredients at the grocery store to make dinner. I wanted to make fajitas, so I needed bell peppers. It's nice to have red, green, and yellow bell peppers, but if it's not in season, usually they don't have like piles of them in the produce section. So I have gotten in the habit of grabbing those prepackaged where there's one yellow, one red, and one green bell pepper. And in the produce section that they have those are like I've got to take crudité to the cocktail party at my country club because I do that every week. And
Gotta do what?
and so you buy
this is very quickly becoming a show of the people.
So I mean, I'm regular. I'm like everybody else.
So there I am.
So,
having Jeeves order me some crudité for my country club.
You
party.
can't
And
stand.
you're making fun of me for airline
You
lounge?
can't stand there in your plaid trousers and your sport coat cutting up the cauliflower. So you buy the stuff that's pre-cut.
Oh,
And I did that. I bought the individual bell peppers, or the all in cellophane, and you pay so much more for that when you could have just gone
It's like $3 for a jar of cut up watermelon, or 99 cents for a watermelon.
exactly. I mean,
Right.
these are things.
Like,
these are
you
habits
just
we get
the
into that are
watermelon.
they're so easy to avoid. Just buy a head of cauliflower, a head of broccoli, and some carrots. Put it on a plate, and
I
show
hadn't
up
even-
at Augusta National. You'll be well liked.
I had, and if you
It's
dress
lovely.
right, everybody will think you're the waiter. So you're good. I didn't realize the cost of cutting your own vegetables until I remember in my life, it was actually Len Penzo that brought that up and was like, oh my, the surcharge on cutting your own, or on having your food cut for you by the
Yes.
grocery store is a monster number.
It really is.
So here's a question, Justin. Why do I feel so good paying a ton of money for a cup of coffee at my local place? Like, I get done, even going through the drive-through, I get done and I got the warm coffee in my hand, and I just, had to take out a small loan to afford this coffee, but I feel great.
Maybe it's the caffeine. I'm not sure.
It must be.
No, I do think there is a point if you're making the localization or supporting a small business. Maybe you can get behind something like that, sure. Or just buying something that you really, really enjoy, which is kind of what I was getting back to the initial question with the gas tank. I do not want to pay a surcharge for just the avoidance of filling up my tank, but I'm happily will buy $100 concert ticket. That's totally fine with me. So I think just aligning what I'm spending on with what I really value is where my heart is.
Is there another place though that makes you groan where you spend money and you're like, why?
Oh, there's lots. Well, the one right now that I'm really struggling with is wedding vendors. I have recently been exploring wedding vendors and the outrageous cost there. I've had a lot of friends get married, and I've been wanting to do a podcast episode around 5 ways to reduce your wedding cost. And I went out and started, figuring out how much does a wedding really cost. There was this number that $35,000 is the average wedding cost. And I was like, that seems ridiculous. No, I called a venue in Austin, a caterer in Austin, and a photographer and videographer, and I'm already blowing through that 35,000. So
Wow.
I feel I was struggling to even fit within the average. And I thought that was a bit ridiculous. So I'm still struggling there.
How do you get around these things? So I think you got to plan a little more creatively. I know I'm going to a wedding this weekend and it's in somebody's backyard. And I think just the intimacy of this beautiful backyard might even make it a nicer, assuming the weather holds out, right? Might make it a nicer event.
Yeah. The most inexpensive wedding that I ever attended, the couple threw it at a park. All of their friends, it was potluck. So everyone, and they had a big spreadsheet and everybody was assigned a different type of a dish. So, they had a good selection of appetizers, main courses, desserts. They had their friends volunteer, they had people took shifts. So friends volunteered to be the bartender. They had one of our good friends who is pretty talented at photography. She's not a professional, but her pictures are always really nice. Was their unofficial, or was, I guess, their official photographer. So it was really just everybody pitched in, kind of like a community barn raising type of a wedding.
What's funny about that? Did anybody care?
I think we all enjoyed it more because we felt a sense of ownership. There was that participatory element, or sometimes it's nicer to be a participant than it is to simply be a spectator.
Yeah, Justin, I think I stepped on something you were going to say.
That was exactly what I was going to ask. I was kind of curious what the sentiment was by getting a job in that wedding.
Yeah, yeah. I think it gave all of us it was sort of a bonding thing because it's like, wow, I feel honored to be a close enough friend that you would ask me to like make a dish for your wedding, right? Not everybody can be in the wedding party, but there's a certain intimacy of like, wow, I we are close enough that you would make that request. What a wonderful thing. It's the Ben Franklin effect.
What do you mean by the
Doug's
Ben
like,
Franklin
I could
effect?
pick up. Sorry.
Well, what do you mean by the Ben Franklin effect?
So the Ben Franklin effect, it is a theory by Ben Franklin
Huh.
that if you ask somebody to do you a small favor, that person will actually end up liking you more. And so Ben Franklin would frequently ask people if he could borrow a book. And it wasn't even that he needed that particular book. It was that for the person that to whom he was making the request, the very fact that they've now just invested a little bit of time into him, it can't be too onerous of a request,
Sure.
but like they invested just a little bit of time into him. Now they kind of like him more because they've invested into him. They want him to succeed. It's sort of like, you bond with a pet because you take care of it. That caretaking element often leads to increased closeness.
It is interesting. They talk about life being about connections, and this book, Keith Ferrazzi's book, Never Eat Alone, talks about having a party and asking people, and even if you don't have a super nice house, you live in an apartment and he says in his book, nobody cares. And if you don't have any money for food, just do a potluck. And he said, and serve like a soup, because and this might go over differently after COVID than it did before COVID, but just the communal nature of eating out of a big pot of soup together kind of brings you closer together.
That's disgusting.
I don't mean eating out of the same spoon, just ladling it out into your.
What are we, cavemen? What are we doing here?
It's not filet mignon. What? Yeah. So
beef Wellington.
Yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, I think we're going to leave it there. Like a lot of Fridays, I'm glad we solved the problem of the Xbox problem by buying a second Xbox. We saved our time by making sure.
I think there's going to be people who write in and go, that is one of the most egregiously excess things that I've heard. But I think there might be a person or two that goes, that, sir, is brilliant. Tip of the hat to you, sir. Well done.
Yeah. Maybe somebody like Jeff Bezos or Warren Buffett.
The guy who owns stock in Nebraska Furniture Mart. Yeah.
Thank you as you name drop the company. Well, and I was also thinking, I think another important part of this episode, the social proof that McDonald's had when they had the number going up, like everybody eats here.
Yeah.
We could do the same thing. OG, we should put like both stackers served by today's episode.
Tens and tens of listeners.
4 or 5 listeners served on today's episode. Let's send those 4 or 5 people to the brilliant work that you guys do. Well, let's start off with OG. What do you got going on this weekend, man?
Oh, this weekend upcoming is spring break weekend, starting to be, and of course it's the basketball tournaments kicking off. So
end of the Big Ten tournament this weekend.
Yeah, so it's a big conflux of stuff. Well, I guess this is Friday, so this weekend starts spring break, but we're gonna go skiing next week. So I'll be gone. See ya.
Awesome.
Wishes.
You taking the 60 inch TVs with you? And
no, the condo that we rent has all that stuff.
And we'll have our guest of honor go last. Paula, what's going on at Afford Anything?
So on the Afford Anything podcast, we have a debate between Paul Merriman and Big Earn. So Karsten Jeske. So we have a debate. It was inspired by the Forget About Money podcast, which is where the idea originated.
Our friend David Boyer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the debate started off as, should you just VTSAX and chill, or should you have a more diversified portfolio that has some small cap value in it? That's where we started. Oh. And we went, it was a 2-hour debate. And by the end of it, they were talking about the existence of God.
I wonder, by the way, who started that debate? How do you think that debate first got started?
Oh,
no, I'm joking.
Because
of course,
I mean, was
It was
that
you and me.
Well, I mean, we seeded the efficient frontier conversation, but like
I think we
all
started
the
off
way.
by saying VTSAX is stupid.
Yeah, VTSAX and chill is stupid. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that is how
Yes.
it's seeded. Yeah,
And to be clear, not for beginners. For beginners, it's perfect.
right.
But later on. And then Big Earn, by the way, called me a small cap value fanboy, which Earn, I'm still upset about. Not a fanboy. Anyway, and that's all at the Afford Anything podcast.
Yes, that's at the Afford Anything podcast.
Debating the existence of God, right?
Yes, small cap value and existence of God.
Justin, it's about time we got this done, man.
Yeah, I'm glad we did. And yeah, I'm stoked to be here today. If you guys want to hang out with me a little bit more, the struggle is real on all your favorite podcast players. You can come and find some things like how to negotiate your medical bills. And I got some fun ones coming up around real estate investing, how to get started with that, and
cool.
how to double your income in the next year with Andrew Giancola. So should be some fun ones coming out.
Awesome. Andrew is such a great guy.
He's
what
a
a
rock
nice
star.
guy. Yep. Super. And that's on the Struggle is Real podcast, where the finest podcast
Yes.
are found. All right. Big thanks to you, Justin, to you, Paula. And thanks to all of you for hanging out with us, Stackers. If you're live on YouTube with us, or if you're listening later, thanks a ton. Doug, you've been making the to-do list. What should be our top 3?
Well, Joe, first, take some advice from our very own polysyllabic Paula. Tell us again why it's okay to mooch off your friends, Paula.
Well, your friends make the best soup. And if you can get your friends to just ladle the soup into your mouth, then you never have to buy groceries again.
Gross. Second, even though he prances around all day showing off the fact that he has 2 first names, Justin Peters had a single brilliant thought. Justin, can you summarize for us again why none of us should ever get married? I mean, how to save money on a wedding?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out, Doug. I'm sorry.
All right, get back to us. But the big lesson, if you're too young to remember the McDonald's pie, here's all you have to do to replicate the process. Take something fried, shove it in the microwave for like 68 minutes. So it's just the surface of the sun hot, and then shove it right into your mouth the second it gets out. That's just step 1. Step 2, start screaming. And like, just don't stop screaming. Step 3, wait too long, then to finish it and eat as much too cold apple pie, and the taste is just disgusting. And voila, you've replicated the McDonald's pie experience. Thanks to the Justin Peters for joining us today. You'll find the Struggle is Real podcast wherever you're listening to us right now. We'll also include links in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. Thanks to Paula Pant for hanging out with us today. You'll find her fabulous and loquacious podcast, Afford Anything, wherever you listen to finer podcasts. And finally, thanks also to OG for joining us. Looking for good financial planning help or a good scorekeeper for your baseball game? Head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG for his calendar.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. You guys hang out here for just a second while we get the file, but thanks everybody on YouTube. I didn't even look to see if anybody was there. Oh my God.